Okay, welcome to the Trader Tuesday. Today's the 21st of May, 2024, and I have a special guest, Mike Schwartz, with us. Mike's in Portland and runs the Portland Options for Income Meetup. Mike and I had lunch a couple of years ago. I guess was it 2019? We were out there visiting my cousins in Hood River. But Mike shows up every morning with our trading room and is a really great help with Discord and lots of experience. So we're happy to have Mike here to learn about Mike's trading journey. So welcome, Mike. Nice to have you.
Hey, thanks. Honored to be invited and a part of this. Thank you very much, Tom.
Oh, sure. Um, can you tell us, everybody, a bit about your background and how you got interested in trading?
Yeah, so I've been trading now probably since late 90s. Always been interested in the markets throughout high school and college, but never really dove into it. Just, educated myself on different types of trading and things of that nature. And then when I got into the real world and had some income, I decided to start looking into options. And I think my first course was Optionetics in the late 90s and kind of took off from there. Just stuck with options, although um, I did, I have dabbled in day trading. I actually was a trading coach for a day trading system, trading the E-minis. But I'm like everybody or a lot of people that have been around for a long time, spent a lot of money on a lot of courses, a lot of education, a lot of software, and but
Market tuition, right?
yeah, exactly. And still at it, still loving it, still passionate about it. So yeah, here I am,
So
25 years later.
so when did you start your options for income meetup? That's been
Wow.
around for a while, right?
Oh, it's been around at least, I want to say 15 years. I had two. It's still there. I never shut it down, although it's not active. I had it trading as a business meetup, um, which was more of a discussion about what it takes to, be a trader, whatever kind of trader you are, but it's a business. How do you treat it like a business? What's involved? Trading plans, all those types of things. And then I decided, at the same time to do this one, about trying to generate some monthly income. Back in the day, we only had monthly options
Right.
to work with. So, yeah, and it was a local group until, COVID hit. Then we started doing Zoom meetings, which allowed us to kind of open it up nationwide or worldwide, whoever wants to join. And it's kind of grown from there. It's definitely morphed over time. The best classes that I can remember having, especially in the face-to-face realm was, getting folks to kind of like what Mark Fenton does is, talk about their trades. What are they doing? Need input from me or the group, where they're actually sharing ideas so people can think about, how to think as a trader, how to think as an option trader, how to plan the trade, and so on and so forth. But I think I've always just been passionate about it, love to give back to the community. So that's why I've been doing that meeting for so many years.
So what were some of your big challenges when you were first starting out?
Um, I think like everybody, you have to find a couple of things. Um, you know, I'm trying to organize my thoughts. I mean, I'd say my biggest takeaways are, the challenges of, psychology, right? Um, you make constant mistakes like everybody, you either risk, typical like most people risk too much or you do these high probability trades that seem to work all the time. You think you found the holy grail, and then you end up taking a hit because you end up not following your rules or whatever it might be. So, I think finding, for me, trades that work with my personality ultimately. So that has to do with time frame. That has to do with, structure, iron condor, say, versus a butterfly versus a calendar. Um, do you like a lot of adjustments? Do you not like a lot of adjustments? All these variations. And then on top of all that, I think the challenge is, based on how much capital you have to trade. At various times I've had a lot, various times I've had a little, and you have to, obviously adjust your trading style, taking that into consideration as well. But really finding out what type of trader I am, defining it. Again, my time frames. Do I like slow moving trades, fast moving trades, trades with, again, a lot of complexity, always fixing the delta here, there, blah, 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 blah. As Dan Sheridan say, jujitsu. Um, so I'd say those were my biggest challenges.
Were you working when you were trading, or was this, what did you
Yes.
go full time, or
Yeah. And
are you still working?
I'm still working. I have an SEO business. I'm also have a notary business. So I like to do a lot of things. I can never, especially now with some of the DTE stuff we've been doing in the room, some of the trades, uh, and like I said, I like simplicity. So a lot of the trades I do don't take a lot of effort and energy and jujitsu. So I have other time on my hand. As much as I love to sit in front of the computer and watch the monitor doing nothing, I definitely like to stay engaged with small businesses and things of that nature. So always work. Don't see myself kind of ever stopping other than just paring down. But I love small business. I love entrepreneurial spirit. So I'll always have a foot or a hand involved with that as well while I continue to trade. Because again, my trades don't require me to sit in front of the screen all the time as much as I love to.
Joe had a question for you. He said, are you primarily trading zero DTE these days?
Yeah, I would say I'd say 90% of my trades right now are 3 days or less. And that's a combination of 3 days, literally 3 days, 2 days, or zero DTE. Depends upon I have about three or four different types of trades. At the same time, I'm starting to layer in some longer term trades that really don't cost a lot of money and again don't require a lot of monitoring at all. So those are just longer term trades that I can let work out themselves and grow. And I'm starting, as my couple of portfolios are growing, starting to combine and layer in some of those longer term trades as well to diversify on time.
So you have a couple of questions about consistency. Did you have any key milestones or breakthroughs that helped you become more consistent?
Yeah, absolutely. Trade size is, so if you go back to psychology, psychology is so much a part of it, at least for me. Um, I know you and the other and Tom Henley do great jobs. And I have struggled in the past with just holding on a little bit too long, thinking something will come back. And then if you incorporate that with trade size, where I have found not only myself in the past, and then in talking with, in learning from the folks in my meetup group, and in many of the various chat channels I've been in the past, the people that, struggle the most are the people that are trading too big. So a mistake is much more costly than it is if you're trading so small, like 1% or 2%. It's not going to be the end of the world if you make a mistake and you let a trade go beyond where it should. Um, so I think ultimately for me, the couple of things were number one, trade as small as you can. Uh, Number two, stick with something. I find that's another big challenge for most people is, what's the latest and greatest holy grail? As many of the folks know in the zero DTE room, I worked out, the a zero DTE calendar trade that back tested phenomenally, traded phenomenally for a very long time. And again, watching folks drop off as soon as it's, started to do or had a rough spot like last August, only to see it rebound and have an amazing, September, October. There was one stretch we had like 16 trades in a row that were all winners. So it's hard to stick with a trade when it goes through a normal drawdown. So learning how to do that, but also learning at a certain point, like this year, when it hasn't it's had a terrible 2024, to put that aside, but I watch it every single day to see if it's changing, to see if it's um, going to get back on an uptrend. Because you just learn that much more about trading if you follow one thing over and over again. Again, I give credit to Dan Sheridan because you become a master if you repeat something hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And most traders don't uh, stick around long enough to learn about that. They try to fix trades the minute there's trouble. Even if you back test something and have rules, as soon as it goes through a drawdown, people want to eliminate the drawdown. And that's just part of trading. And once I really came to grips with who I am, just meaning that, I'm not here to fix everything. I'm here to trust the system, make sure it's got an edge, do everything I can do to educate myself to determine that it's got an edge via back testing, then trading it smaller and finding out everything I can about it. Then it's just, again, trying to keep things as simple as possible, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And that's where I think, again, most people struggle. It's very hard to find somebody, you take an Amy, she continually trades the A14, always, and that's why she's so successful at it, because she sticks with it. And she might change it, morph it, might break a rule, to change an entry or, whatever. We kind of learn how to, like today, I instead of taking my normal new calendar trade, I looked at skews and decided to do it differently today, and it worked out fine. So I call that, um, getting the what is it? You you need to prove that you can change something by trading it long enough. You have to have the experience before you start trading it, changing it. That's another thing I love and see about human psychology is whenever I taught a trade with very specific rules or whatever, the first thing that everybody does, instead of asking me more about the rules or drilling in so they can figure it out, the first thing they try to do is change it. Did you look at Bollinger Bands? Did you look at a shorter time frame? Did you look at a long? Did you look at this? Did you look at
It's like the turtle traders, right? They all
yeah,
had the same rules and nobody traded it the same way.
right. So everybody wants to fix something, and you have to earn the right to fix it. How about learn what somebody's teaching you, learn the crap out of it, really understand the pros and cons of it. Does it work in, does it take heat and high volatility, low volatility? Does skew play a part? Whatever it might be, but you don't know that unless you do it over and over and over and over and over again. There's no way you can learn the nuances of it. And then you've earned the right to go back to the developer and go, hey, have you noticed this? Skew plays a part, or this plays a part, or I'm seeing this. What do you think about that? You know, and that's what makes trading harder because we like to fix. I think as human beings, it's our nature. We like to
Uh,
fix things and create things, and
it's
it's
like the quote from Bruce Lee, I fear not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
that is it. That is absolutely it. And so, if, you know, I forget, maybe it was Van Tharp or somebody. It's there's another guy that said, you know, everybody believes that finding the method, finding the system, the butterfly, the calendar, the this, the that, that's the secret to trader success. And I would say that's probably, I don't know, 50, 60, 70% at most. It's, it's sticking with it. It's trading the right size. It's the money management and the psychology. It's really those two aspects, money management and psychology. Can you, as um, God, I'm having some senior moments today. I apologize. Douglas would, said, you got to find a trade with edge and then act like a casino and learn how to repeat it flawlessly over and over again. That's the only goal. Learn how to trade it flawlessly, non emotional,
Overnight success
unattached.
after 20 years of hard work, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Um,
So
so anyway.
what do you do to adapt to trading with the market changing the conditions all the time? What kind of stuff do you do to keep up with it?
Um, as I said, I'm really simple trader, and most of the trades that I do are binary in nature. In that I'm not fixing deltas, I'm not fixing this, I'm not rolling that. I'm not, most of my trades, I'd say 90% of my trades, unless it's part of the plan, say like a campaign diagonal. Not that I do those lately, but I do like them. So if it's part of your plan when a short is about to expire and you're rolling to the next, that's part of the plan. But it's pretty simple. But most of my trades are binary. So, I just get to understand which of my trades work great. Like right now, calendars typically work really well in low volatility. So, the majority of my trades are focused on some variation of calendar, double calendar, and then longer term trades are butterflies. And then if the market does change, and it's a little bit harder to make money in those calendars, I'll probably just lighten up on those and get heavier into trades that are working out, maybe butterflies or something to that effect. But I keep it very simple, and it's really more typically of an adjustment of size to each of the trades versus totally not trading something and then moving on to something else.
So I know you do calendars. Are you doing any other kinds of trades?
Um, I am doing a few longer term butterflies, with very, very low costs, so I can control my control my position sizing, but at the same time give them time to work out, to really work out. So the great thing is, with the zero DTEs, for those that have just started trading in the last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're in a very fortunate time because if you're an option trader, because we have this ability to trade very short-term trades and churn our capital. But um, at the same time, I like to have longer term trades with very little capital exposure. But as we know, with a butterfly, those things can really, with very little movement, can really explode. And before you know it, you're blinking and they're up 50%, 100%. So you know, the one thing that does for my portfolio is it gives me the risk, an incredible risk reward. And I think the other big aha moment I've had through my years is I found that a lot of option traders, again, because of psychology, we want to win, we want to be right all the time. And so the very first trade that a lot of people get into is the high probability, and I'm doing air quotes, iron condor, because it
It
is,
seems
again,
safe.
it seems safe. It's high probability. You're going to win 90% of the time. But the other big takeaway is that the risk reward is terrible. Now, people can say, oh, I've got to stop, right? So I can manage my risk reward. But the problem is the most you can make is, say 10%, whatever that credit is. Where I see other guys that were trading directionally, risk $100 and they just hit a home run and get a 10 bagger and make $1,000 or $500. Their risk reward is amazing, and their ability to control their risk, especially if it's a binary trade, $100, no problem. So, you know, while incorporating maybe some direction but giving it kind of a wider net, starting to do, a lot more. I love butterflies because the risk reward on those can be just spectacular, and it doesn't need a lot of movement to get a 100% win, a 70% win, whatever it might be, and it doesn't really matter the DTEs. Although, lastly, on directional trades, one of the things I early learned early in my career is most people never give themselves enough time in their directional trades, especially when it came to call purchases or vertical purchases. You have a prognostication that, Tesla should go to here in, 3 weeks or by the end of the month. So they'll buy something with 15 to 30 days when, just to see the trade fail and ultimately price goes to where they thought it would. So I'm just a big proponent when you have these big risk reward to risk trades, give them plenty of time to work out. Plenty of time to work out. They're small, they don't need any management, and they're ultimately, it's it's hard if you get a nice trending either index or stock. You get to know it, you get to know where it bounces and things like that. It's hard for those things to take a lot of heat. I mean, it really is. And when you're risking a very defined amount that you're saying, okay, I'm willing to risk it all, that's a healthy place to trade from.
Joe asked, how long in DTE are you trading the flies? You said some longer term stuff.
Yeah, so I have them peppered throughout DTEs. Probably my minimal DTE would be 90 days. And then I go out as far as, you know, um, let's see, 30 days, 60. I've done 60 and 90 days as well. Um, just giving, again, taking a look, like, would I place one now with the market where it is right now? No. If we get any kind of a pullback, then I'd probably start trading some longer term, maybe 6 month out SPY, or SPX butterflies, and just look for a great risk reward and go from there.
Yeah, there was do you remember the Option Club? It was a Yahoo group years ago.
I vaguely remember it. Yes.
Yeah, there was a guy in there, he's a market maker, and he had a test for anyone. Just take any strategy you like and then trade both sides of it and make both sides work. So, people trading the short iron condor will take the long iron condor. So it's an interesting mental exercise to stretch yourself and try and make it work both ways. Because
Well,
somebody's taking the other side of your trade.
right. It's really interesting you say that because that was one of the other things that early on I kind of figured out is, yeah, if a trade isn't working and it's not working
It's not working for
consistently,
you, it's working for
yeah,
the other guy.
it's right. Look at the opposite trade, and see if you can make money that way. How long do you find you're in a 30-day fly? So I don't typically do 30 days, Joe. Like I'm saying, I do typically 90 days. Um, Boy, that really depends. I don't have, it just it's a complex question because every scenario is different. I've had trades that for whatever reason, vol makes a change and I'm in it for a couple of weeks and I'm already up 150%. I might just say, you know what, for this one particular trade, I'll just take the money and run. Um, and I have had that happen. I do like to take early profits if I'm getting at least 2 or 3 to 1 or early on in the trade. I'll love just taking it, moving on. Who's going to complain about that? I always say, I've always said is I had trades that I was doing. I said, oh, this is when I was doing the bearish butterfly. It's like, when does 40% return on your trade or return on margin feel terrible? When you had 60% the day before. So I've kind of, and I think that's another thing about trading something over and over and over again, because you get to get a feel of how the profits come and go. And that sometimes you get a 1 day spike that helps you both in price and in volatility. And you just see a number there that your choice is obviously take the profits and run, stay in it and hope that profits continue to, expand from there, or stay in and then see it. You have to wait. And so that's, again, by trading the same things over and over again, you get a feel for when you're getting early profits and it's worth taking versus, hey, now it's starting to move in my tent. It's later in the trade. Theta is really going to start to work. Am I in a position where I feel I can milk it more, or should I scale a little bit out? Do a combination of all those things. So there isn't one answer. The answer is trade something over and over and over and over and over again and learn its nuances. And then, figure out what works best for you and your account size. If you're a small trader, it'd be great if you can scale out, but you might not have the size to scale out. You have to understand that. I'll trade the same trade in multiple accounts, and I'll have different results. I'm entering the exact same time, exiting, but depending upon the account size of account A versus account B, what I'm trying to accomplish, I'll manage the two accounts differently. And some days account A does better than account B, and in other days account B did better than account A. And in a way, it's kind of scaling out. Doing it in one account, not in the other, or in the other one, I'm doing it, not, so, but I'm learning what works for me, what works for that account size. But I've done the trades long enough to understand the nuances and feel comfortable with my decisions.
So if you were advising somebody who's interested in option trading but knew nothing about it, I know you talked about size, but what other advice would you give new traders?
Yeah. So find any trade. with a set of rules. There's plenty of stuff that you can get at AirMirror. There's plenty of stuff you can get at YouTube, but whether it's a calendar, you got to learn the fundamentals of option trades. Everything's somewhat of a variation of a vertical where you're buying an option and selling an option. A vertical just happens to be where you're selling one and buying one in the same expiration. Then you combine that with another vertical, and you might have an iron condor, or you might have a butterfly. Or if you change expirations with the one you're buying, then you have a calendar. So you need to, number one, start with the fundamentals, understand what those are. And then number two, try to find a set of rules for any one of these or all of these, and just, learn those rules, trade that trade over and over and over again until you're finding some level of success or understanding how the trade reacts when we have big moves, when we have small moves, when we have a Fed day, when volatility is above 15, when it's above 20, all those things. But the only way you're going to learn about how a trade reacts is if you keep trading it over and over again. And as I said, that's the hardest thing, because we're constantly getting emails and marketing materials on the latest and greatest indicator and trade known to man. And it's very hard to ignore those things. It really is. And that's the hardest thing as a new trader, looking for the next holy grail versus just finding a set, following it, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. Hopefully that answered the question to some extent.
Yeah. So did you want to talk about your meetup group at all?
Um, not it's not much to say. We've it because it's kind of morphed. I'm doing a combination of things. Originally, as I said, it would set up with talking about how I review the market, review the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, and then we'd usually have some topic of the day. I have, because the amount of these that I've done and lack of getting people to talk about their trades, I have had a number of the most recent stuff has been a lot with the Airmere team, discussing the various things that you guys offer, because I just don't believe that we talk about that enough. So I've been using the options for income as an opportunity to kind of promote the great things that you're doing at Airmere and the various teachers you have or educators that you have as part of the community. So it's probably a combination of those two types of things, whether I'll have a speaker talking about what they're offering. And like we had Mark, who talked about his calendar course, and just calendars in general, last time. And we've had Amy on board a couple of times, yourself. That's pretty much it. I haven't done one of my, uh, personal topics in a while, but probably need to take a look at that again.
All right. Well, we usually go about half an hour, and that's where we're at. So is there anything you want to say in parting, Mike?
Again, I'd say the hardest thing about trading, you know, for example, and this isn't uh, to be negative at all. You're doing, for example, the future stuff, and we're obviously seeing in the community a lot of folks taking a good look at that, because it's great. You're using somebody else's money. Obviously, you have to spend a monthly thing. But my point is it's a new shiny penny. And getting back to, if we want to become really successful traders, stick to what you're learning. Just because somebody is having great success or good success with this futures day trading, you have to ask yourself, if I incorporate something new, is it giving me the best opportunity to become a long-term, consistent, successful trader? Or should I just focus on what I'm doing now
Right.
and make sure I've got success there before I take on something new? Yeah,
Good advice.
yeah, yeah. So thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.